So one of the big mistakes that I've noticed is the customer lifetime value. And in most cases, the big mistake is that your customer lifetime value is too low. Let me give you a visual example of how you can double your PPC results without even touching any PPC campaigns. So here in the top line, we have a customer acquisition cost of $100. Simple as that. But you can see on the an example on the left, the customer lifetime value cost is, or customer lifetime value is $100. So your return on ad spend is 100%. Now, if you had the same store, but your customer lifetime value is $200, you're automatically doubling your return on ad spend with the same traffic and with the same metrics. So what does that mean? Focusing on customer lifetime value is very important, and I will define for those who don't know what it means. So essentially, customer lifetime value helps you to predict the profit over the course of the lifetime of the customer. Because a lot of businesses that I've noticed, they make a mistake on calculating the ROI on one purchase. But in reality, you have to look into the long term, that you can actually acquire a customer and then make as much money, make as much profit from them over the long run, over a year, 2 years, or longer. And the reason it's important is that in efficient industries, what I call efficient, meaning that you'll have the big players, we'll have some small players, you'll have some smart advertisers, you'll have some dumb advertisers. All of them together will likely inflate the cost of traffic. And you'll have to compete against those folks, no matter what. And in order to stay ahead of the game, you want to make sure that you start focusing on customer lifetime value, and then you can start improving your results on other aspects as well. But this is part of the bigger picture. So let me give you a big example. I did not know this factor, but it was fascinating. So to signify how significant customer lifetime value is, Starbucks generates over $14,000 from each customer over the lifetime. I was very surprised about that. I thought that maybe it could be, could be a couple $100 because they're still selling, $4 or $5 lattes. But then in reality, they make a lot more money from each customer. So the big benefit of that is that they can spend a ton of money on advertising to acquire new customers, because they know that over a certain period of time, they'll make way more back from their customers. So then they can outspend their competition and win in the marketplace. And here's a big thing, a big takeaway that you want to focus on. If you don't track your customer lifetime value, you're rarely focused on maximizing it. I think it's a very similar quote as using, what's not managed or what's not being measured is not getting managed. So very similar to CLV. Let's continue. So how do you calculate your customer lifetime value? So the formula has 4 components, and there are other formulas that are much more complex, but to give you a basic understanding, and the basic levers that you have to pay attention to are the average order value, then the average monthly transactions, then average customer lifespan, and like to measure that in months, and then the average gross margin to make sure that you take out the product cost. So what is your action item from the business side? So your goal is to increase the average order value, also increase average purchase frequency, and then average customer lifespan. You can increase them one by one, or you can increase all of them. This requires a lot of hard work, so you may not be able to do that, all of them at the same time. But your goal is to up those factors that affect your customer lifetime value, because at the end, not only your pay-per-click campaigns will do better, but your overall website performance will increase. So I'll go over a couple of examples of how you could increase your customer lifetime value, and we'll use sushi making kits as an example. So here's an example. So there's a sushi chef making kit. So Amazon sells it, but here's what they're doing. They're upselling a product subscription. So here's what's interesting. You can buy the product by itself for $31. However, they're offering you a discount, and a pretty much a 4-month subscription, meaning that you can automatically repurchase that product every 4 months. So what does that do? So it incentivizes the buyers to purchase that and save 5%. Also, it increases the average order values and average customer lifetime value by about 186%, assuming that they stay on that subscription for about a year. That's a huge increase. Here's another one. You can do a product bundle. So as opposed to selling just that sushi making kit, you can upsell a knife and some seaweed, and boom, a 76% increase in the average order value. Here's another example. Let's say you're selling a sushi knife. You can sell the blade guard for that particular knife, and you're increasing the average order value by about 12%. So as you can see here, there are a lot of ideas that you can implement to increase your customer lifetime value. We cannot cover everything in this webinar, but this is something that you have to focus on and make sure that you work on a consistent basis so you can improve your customer lifetime value. So let's take our Sushi King example. So let's say we increase the average order value by 20%, increase the frequency from about one customer buying once a month to 20 customers buying more than once a month. And we also increase the lifespan from 30 days to 42 days, 20%. The effect is compounding, and our customer lifetime value goes up from $100 to $173. Now, let's take a look at the actual impact that we can notice in our increase in customer lifetime value. So all of the metrics are the same. The traffic is the same, the cost is the same, everything else stays the same. But with a higher customer lifetime value, as you can see, that's an item in blue, you're affecting your gross profit margin and return on ad spend significantly. And that can be a huge win.